everyone, this is Celestorion, and I am a writer and leader for Sonic Legacy. And we've got other crew here with us. I'm going to let them introduce themselves next.
Hey everybody, this is Sea Salt. I am one of the writers and artists for this project.
Hey everyone, my name is CrimDa. I am one of the pencilers and I do a little bit of animation on the side for the project.
Hi, I'm Digi. I'm one of the pencilers, and I guess I kind of worked on the teaser too.
Hey guys, I'm Peeper. I was behind the teaser. I directed most of it, and I do pencils and animation.
And I'm blasphysics. I'm one of the colorists for Legacy. I also do music, and I did the lip sync for the short.
Okay, and also make sure you turn your mic up just a little bit because you were a little bit quiet on there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But anyway, yeah, so this is our first podcast on here, and we're doing these now because thanks to you guys, we were actually able to meet one of the first goals that we had on our Patreon. So $100 per issue release. We're going to go ahead and try and do these podcasts twice a month for you guys. Ulti will be in a future podcast. We're specifically focusing on issue 1 and the teaser on here. So everyone that's in this podcast here, we're related on those for the most part. So we're actually going to go ahead and talk about the teaser first, just because that's the first actual material that we've cranked out. If you guys haven't watched it yet on the main Sonic Paradox channel, probably after the podcast, go check it out. Digi, Peeper, and Blast put in a pretty good amount of time to work on that. And I'm going to go ahead and let the three of them take a little bit of control on why they chose specific scenes on that, about the process. Just kind of fun facts about that. Take it away.
Okay, so I guess I can start regarding the teaser. So anyway, so it was around like close to mid-May or around the end of May where like Celeste approached me. He told me, hey, I think you could do an animated teaser for... Well, not think you could, but he was heavily implying like, hey, it'd be really cool if someone, particularly like, I don't like you, animated a teaser. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I got you, man. And then I started doing the storyboard process. Honestly, I really had like this pain of having to do backgrounds because I hate those a lot. Digi, like he agreed to help me out and doing the backgrounds.
Oh yeah,
huge help. It would have probably taken much longer for the teaser to be out if it weren't for Digi and Blast, who with the lip syncs and the color palettes for the characters, as well as the shading.
Oh. Yeah, how long exactly was it that it took you to do it from start to finish, the whole process?
Actually, we had finished the teaser by July 2nd. We had it done. However, it was too short at that point for Mr. Wax, who wasn't really pleased with the length of it. Which is fine, okay, because like he was thinking of posting the teaser as its own thing instead of at the end of seconds. So we had to work a little harder, like another extra month. Done in time. Well, not in time. Actually, no, we had no deadline until this interview with TM. Wait, what's the name of the thing? TMSC? The one where the thing Donnie runs, you know? Well, we found out there was like an interview with Celeste, who is like the leader of Legacy, and so we had to finish by then. That one out, like.
Oh, yeah.
It was funny because I never originally had intended it for like it to be at the end of seconds or a separate video. I thought it was just something that we were going to post on our own channel here, and Peter's like, no, man, we're going to get this on the Paradox channel. I'm like, you dance. And basically, he had already contacted Wax on there, and Wax was like, hey, why don't you just do it as a separate video and just lengthen it up? And I'm like, okay, you know what? If he's going to allow it, then Peeper, lengthen it. Do your animation magic, because I'm lazy as hell.
I was also lazy as hell, not gonna lie.
Yeah, the irony is that we didn't do any more animation for that then.
Yeah, that is the irony. So that's why we had like the ending sequence at the end of it with all the still images drawn by Digi, but he wanted to get all the different colorists involved in Legacy on board, so that's why you have different art styles with the coloring in different frames.
Yeah,
like he did an awesome job with like those frames. So I like a lot of them. They're really dynamic and really cool, like really expressive.
They were really fun to color, the ones that I did at least.
Yeah, that's some of the quality that I expect you guys to see when we start releasing the issues with the coloring and everything is It's just like a lot of heart put into the work. Like this isn't just some quick, hey, let's try to meet like a YouTube algorithm and just crank these out as soon as we can. No, I mean if we have delays or anything like that, we're gonna let you know, but we're gonna put in as much effort as we can on these comics as possible.
Wow.
Well, initially, the teaser, it was intended for it to animate a little bit of the race. However, due to time constraints and me being a little bit too lazy, I opted not to do that and just leave it like and wanting for more. So hopefully, it was like successful at that.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the original storyboards that you had on there, what actually did have a little bit of a takeoff after that. Because if you take a look at one of our videos on here, the teaser comparison, I think it is, you can actually see the storyboards where the race had just kicked off between them, where the dialogue would have been.
So yeah, no, so I opted just to change that out. Also, when I was first approached about animating a teaser for Legacy, I thought I was going to animate the race, which I was really excited about, but no, it was just the getting ready thing.
I mean, that's kind of why it's a teaser. You just want to dangle that steak at the end of the hook.
Wait, guys, we can't give you the good stuff.
So later.
I guess we could talk about the comments. I saw some of the comments were like they confused the webcomic for an animated series.
They did. Yeah, that's something good that we
a
could
lot
bring
of
up.
them.
Kind of like a middle ground before we move from the animation to the comics itself. Yeah, so even though we called it a comic in the video and description, I guess some people really thought that it was going to be an animated series just because there were a good multitude of comments based on that. And no, that would be way too much work to ask of us. Even though we're a separate branch of Sonic Paradox, if you will, the whole point of this was to be a non-animation project to get artists involved with SP instead of just strictly animations.
I know, like the idea of making a whole series. I mean, it's cool. I'd like to. I wish I had like I don't know, like Naruto and just clone myself or something, and just like animate it. But no, we can't do that. It's too much work, and we're busy people with like life and stuff.
Hey, if we won the lottery, maybe none of us will have to work again.
True. Cool.
So, yeah, subscribe to our Patreon.
Don't test me. If I won the lottery like a Mega Powerball, we joked around in SP years ago that if we won like one of those $500 million Powerball things, we would just build an SP mansion and move everyone in it. And honestly, I would still do it. I would completely do it. Don't try me.
Actually, there's something I want to know from Digi. Actually, how was it to work with the backgrounds, with the storyboard? You know, like how was that process?
I don't know. I just laid over your rough drafts, like, and then I just colored over it. That's basically it. I mean, there wasn't really much of a thought process. Just be working, basically.
Okay, now that we have like the color director right here, Blast, think you can clarify the blue eyes to people?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You should do that.
It's not blue.
Yeah, I don't know why so many people thought it was blue, but I mean, I guess it's fair. When people see teal, I guess people can interpret it as blue. I'm not sure though.
It's probably because you had more blue in the picture for the teal to just kind of blend more with it, whereas if you had Sonic Green like Scourge with teal eyes, it would look more green.
Yeah.
Probably something like that. But yeah.
Just 'cause in every frame there's more blue than any other color.
You should probably explain why you chose teal with color theory, just to kind of set away any confusion.
Yeah, of course. So when you're designing a palette for a character, you got to consider like their location, the time that the character's in. So considering both of those things, he's in a clear sky beach that's like in the middle of the day. You'd have blue being the most predominant color in any of those. In fact, all the colors have some tint of blue in them, but some are more visible than others. I guess since the green is closest to blue in terms of its location on the color wheel, it was easier to translate that and easier to be construed as blue instead of green.
Interesting.
You heard it from the color theorist himself.
Amazing.
So intellectually stimulating, am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice choice of words
Anyway,
on
yeah.
there. Yeah, your mic is still a little bit quiet, but it was still able to hear you on there. Maybe tweak that just a little bit further.
It's just really sensitive, and
There we go. That's perfect.
There we go. I can now listen to your sexy voice, Blast. I'm glad.
So now that
I
we
think this is
covered...
like-
Mhm.
Yeah, I think this is like a good segue to talk about the issue itself.
Yeah, I was just going to want to bring onto that. So I think what we should talk about first is why we chose to start off as a beach race between Sonic and Tempest. Kind of just go over the introduction of the characters themselves, because while a lot of people in the teaser comments liked Tempest, there are also a lot of people like, why an OC, or why does Sonic have a wallet, or things like that. So Sea Salt was primarily the writer for this issue. Jordy Porty was one of the assistant writers on it, but mainly it was Sea Salt's love child. So I'm going to let him take over on this part, along with CrimDa, who was the pencils for that.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure how that one happened. Yeah, I came on as an artist, and I'm ended up doing like a lot of the writing. So, I mean,
Life
it's Sonic.
finds a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's Sonic, so you kind of always want to kind of keep, a good flow of action going. So, just trying to find a way to introduce this new character, Tempest. Establish, what she can do, because obviously Sonic isn't so good with the water. So it's like, hey, let's make a character who can actually work with the water.
And I'm going to interject on there also, because South Island is a very tropical region. If you want to consider both the Game Gear South Island from Sonic 1 as well as the Genesis version, you have a jungle zone as well. You've got all of the water from Labyrinth and Green Hill Zone on both. Then you also have Bridge Zone on South Island. So there's a lot of water to work with.
Yeah, it's a very
because Seesaw was one of the first people that I had brought onto the project when I was first coming up with it. And we did want to have Tails and all those other characters, but if you're starting from a chronological order with Sonic 1, having Tails be a psychic at that point would have made absolutely no sense lore-wise. And while the post-reboot of Archie did a pretty good job covering classic Sonic going through Sonic 1 solo, I just felt the amount of material that we had to work with, just having Sonic monologue the whole time on there, it would have been a very boring experience. So we wanted to create someone that could play off of his personality and complement his speed in different aspects of South Island. And I think it was actually Sea Salt's idea to have an aquatic-based Mobian. We're calling him Mobians because the world is Mobius, for reasons we'll get into later.
Yeah, I know. I definitely pitched like, hey, there's not too many aquatic animals, so I think I pitched like, dolphins, otters, seals, and eventually we round up with Tempest, the hourglass dolphin. For those who don't know, if y'all want to look that up.
She's not a shark.
Yeah.
See, that's how we have Tempest in the chat with us. CrimDa is Tempest VA.
Yes. Yes, I be. And apparently, she is a shark girl now.
Through the power of YouTube comments!
Yes, through the power of YouTube comments. But,
So, some people were saying in the teaser that they already know the direction this is going. It's going to be like an immediate ship with Sonic and Tempest and everything. And funnily enough, that was never her design intention. In fact, the original intention was a throwaway character. But we got attached to the character as it went on, and we're like, you know what? With this ongoing lore that we're building, that we're not really going to go into because it is crossing major spoilers, and you'll want to read the issues or wiki for that, Tempest would have more importance to the plot as time does go on, but for the Sonic 1 arc, she's going to be present with Sonic all throughout that, and then she will be gone for virtually the remainder of the classic era. And come back later.
Yeah, we're definitely being careful as far as any relationship goes, because it's Sonic. We don't want a bunch of teen angst and drama. It's we want to see Sonic run through loops, kick some ass.
As much as I love the Archie series, I will admit the mid-era Archie, where all of that romance drama, when it was completely unnecessary, and I don't know, I am not a fan of it. And I would, if we do any kind of romance or shipping in here, because nothing's confirmed. Like, I've been saying it on Twitter, and it's not just like to ease everyone, we just flat out don't have intentions yet. If we do any kind of pairing, we would want it to be extremely downplayed and something that would not slow down Sonic whatsoever.
Yeah.
It would not be a spotlight thing at all.
Yeah, let's be real. Sonic would be the kind of guy who gets married like during battle.
That's actually kind of a funny thought. I'll have to remember that one for later.
It's basically, the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie, it'd be like that.
It's exactly the scene I thought of.
I have not seen any of those, and I feel like trash. Okay, I'll have to do my research later. So let's talk about the issue writing and the pencil work, because both Sea Salt and Crim were the two pencilers for issue 1. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to let both of them just take full control on that.
Oh, where do you want to start? Because there's a lot to say.
I think we should probably start with the development of the first part of the issue, with how does Sonic meet Tempest. Like, we're not going to spoil the whole issue, but we'll go ahead and build up to where the teaser started. I think we could get away with that first half of the issue.
Actually, I disagree. I think we should start with how each of them found Legacy and how they joined, and then how they started working on issue 1.
I could agree with
that.
I
feel like more interesting. So yeah, take it away, guys. All you.
I'll flat out tell you, I voluntold Sea Salt on the IDW Facebook group.
Oh shit! I dropped my burger.
Yeah, I'll let Crim to go first with this one.
Yeah.
Oh, well, mine is an arduous story. Actually, I was working on a personal animation project, and someone that actually writes on Legacy, named Evan, came to me one day and said, hey, why don't you ever apply for Sonic Paradox? And I flat out told him, no, I don't want to apply for Sonic Paradox. I don't want to be there. And it's pretty much for I want to finish my own stuff kind of reasons. And then I swear to you, not 2 weeks later, there was a post on my timeline from Evan being like, hey, Sonic Paradox is starting this comic project. Submit stuff. And I was like, okay. I'm going to eat my words, and I'll just submit something I have on my phone, because I don't know how this is going to go, blah, blah, blah. So I ate my words, and I guess he vouched for me, and my pages weren't too bad. So I eventually got in and found myself doing a lot of stuff that I've done on other comic projects. And yeah, it's been a fun old time.
Yeah, there's also, I remember, some drama that happened with her projects that, if she wants to go into it, I'll let her go into it, but you might be seeing more Legacy stuff from her down the line because of it. Did you want to go into that?
I'll go into it a little bit, but
okay.
It's mostly not pertinent to this, so I'll just keep it short. But I had my own Sonic animation that I was working on, and it was pretty much a 2D, frame-by-frame, old-school animation that I wrote myself, casted myself, etc. And I lost all the footage because I'm a smart human being, and because I lost all the footage and all the work, I pretty much went, I am not spending another year doing this again, and I'm just going to dedicate my time to other projects. So I found myself with a lot more free time, because that was pretty much the thing I dedicated my life to when I got home from work at night. So I just put it into other things that I'm doing, like Legacy. So, my story. What about you, Cecil?
Well, hell, for as long as I remember, I've always wanted to do Sonic comics. I mean, I practically grew up on the Archie stuff.
Guilty.
I had followed that since number 7. You know, it's always something like, oh man, that'd be awesome to actually work for these guys. But obviously, of course, like real life had other plans, and you know, the Archie Sonic comics are no longer with us. But when IDW started up, you know, just chatting up in there, eventually ran to Celeste there, and he's like, hey, you want to come on? Do you like some storyboard stuff for a project we're doing? And even though that particular project never went anywhere, the Legacy one started up, and really just from there, it's, you know, like storyboarding, you know, it's not too different from doing comic stuff, and obviously comics is what I wanted to do, so I just ended up coming on there to be as a penciler and eventually a writer. And I guess the rest is history right now.
So did those thumbnails that you did for issue 1 start as storyboards, or what was the idea
That was
behind
not
those?
the thumbnails. Those are definitely for Legacy. I didn't do any stuff for Paradox.
Probably about the time I should pop in on how Legacy was contrived anyway. Because
Take
you
it away.
already kind of mentioned it in yours a little bit. Like Sea Salt said, Sonic Paradox and I were coming up with a new animated series that was kind of going to be like anime, if you will, like slice of life episodes with the cast. And I brought in a couple of different writers. One of them was Kyoso, who worked on the Sonic X abridged series on there. And as time went on, it devolved from the original image I had to more of a sitcom-based feel. And I was coming up with a whole bunch of lore for like the workings of the world around it that ended up would not have worked out. English would not have worked out for that series at all, and I really didn't want to throw away all of this cool stuff that I came up with. So that around that time, some drama happened with the writers that I'm not going to go into, and the project basically fell in apart on itself. Some of the writers, like myself and Cyberlink, who did the Sonic F series, pretty much left it. And I decided, you know what? We have a whole bunch of talented artists in the Sonic Paradox community who don't work with animation and just do art. And I'm like, what if we did something like a comic that we could get all of them involved for, and they could feel like they're a part of the community? And then that's where I just took all of the original ideas that I had for the world building and just started applying it to Legacy. And that's basically how the project started.
Yep.
Interesting.
So when did you guys start writing and doing thumbnails? Like, when did you get to that point?
Well, Legacy first officially started, I shit you not, April 1st. So every anniversary falls on April Fools. You guys are warned already, so when we start making posts, we're not pulling your leg.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Unless we
Is Sonic Legacy a joke?
no, it was not a joke. It just conveniently fell on that date. But I'd say April 1st is where I started asking more world-building things like, hey, how does money work in this world? And things like that. And then I'd say April 4th is when we first came up with Tempest as a character.
Oh, that's her birthday.
Yep, April 4th is Tempest's birthday.
Yep.
Oh, guys, I am curious about something. How was the wallet conceived into Legacy?
So that's where we're going to go ahead get back to the original part before you guys wanted to do intros, is how did Sonic Tempest meet? Why is there a wallet or anything? And that starts by basically describing the first half of the issue. So since Sea Salt was the writer on that, I'm going to go ahead and let him kick off.
Okay. Where should I start, really?
From the beginning.
Like how Sonic and Tempest meet. Well, obviously we wanted to set up like this whole race scene for them. So it's kind of like, okay, what would actually cause Sonic to get into a race, and obviously be somebody who could somewhat match him in speed somehow. Obviously Sonic is no good in the water, but a dolphin would be. So it's more so trying to figure out how we're going to get them to meet, and it came down to him really just losing his wallet from the silly action scene that kind of kicked things off.
We could go ahead and go into some detail on there because it's kind of covered in the trailer teaser anyway. So basically, we've got most of the world map already planned out. It starts off on South Island, because this is supposed to be the Sonic 1 arc. And since we're tying all the games together and everything, that would put Sunset Heights from Forces on South Island, as it's basically the border of Green Hill Zone. Yeah. So you have a beach, you've got the hot dog vendor. We put Autobot from Unleashed on the same island because of the jungle zone and everything. So he's just in Sunset Heights wheeling on a high-rise, and the hot dog cart falls over, so you have chili dogs and hot dogs just spilling over a high-rise, and Sonic, the gallant hero that he is, saves all of the chili dogs with a burst of speed. And during this time, his wallet, which I'm going to answer that question, he keeps tucked inside of his glove, by the way, just managed to slip out. Didn't notice.
Damn.
I think I specifically remember asking that question when I was penciling. I was like, where does his wallet come from?
At
Where does it go?
first we thought about his soccer shoes, but with how he runs, it would just easily fly out, where his hands aren't really moving like that, so just top of his glove.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, so how do rings work into the whole wallet thing?
Rings is just the name of a physical currency based off of naturally occurring rings. So you've got, and the reason we decided to run with a naturally produced currency is because if you listen to the actual Japanese version of Sonic Colors and a few other games, it actually discusses yen and other physical cash. So we decided, and trying to figure out a currency based off of rings, humans, Mobians, yada yada yada, just make a cash system.
Yeah.
So like the imagery on the coins, dollars, and everything's based off of rings.
Yeah, we actually did consider Mobiums, but Mobium will be something else in the series.
Yeah, we did bring up Mobium because it was a currency in AOSTH, but no, Mobium has a whole different purpose that we won't go into spoilers on this podcast for.
Yeah.
So basically, he drops his wallet, Tempest grabs it, seeing how he was kind of a show-off with his speed grabbing the chili dogs, and she's like, you know what? I'ma race him. And that's just kind of how it started. Was just she didn't steal his wallet. It's just kind of playful teasing, really.
As all friendships start.
And these pages for the first scene of this that you're describing, they've been posted on the Twitter, yes?
Yes, they are posted on the Facebook and the Twitter and the Tumblr. So if you just dig through our tweets and everything, you'll find the raw pencils that Crim did for those first 4 pages.
Yeah, I think we had pencils and inks, I think.
Did we post the inks? I thought we just posted the pencils.
just the pencils.
No
I'll
inks?
redo them once we have the full finished colors and letters, kind of like how IDW shows off a few pages. I'll do that once we hit that point.
Oh, okay. I thought the inks were there too, but it's been a while since I've checked.
Nah, just the pencils. So that's what really...
Did the idea of a shark ever cross your mind when making Tempest?
No, but an orca did. Which would have been funny because Sonic is afraid of killer whales.
Yeah,
that would have been hilarious, actually.
Especially when the story about Sonic Adventure would come around. But,
yeah, we just wanted to make sure that the character would have had good synergy with him. And I just didn't feel like an orca would have clashed more. So, and we did a lot of heavy research on dolphins when we were designing Tempest as a character, like personality, how dolphins act in their communities, other things like that. So as time goes on, you're going to see personality quirks, different things about Tempest that actually fit in with how dolphins work in real life.
Yeah.
Dolphins are very fast in water, so that's one of the reasons why we went with her, is to be able to somewhat match him in speed. And the reason why she's as fast in water will be explained at a later date. Same reason as why Sonic has his speed. So we won't go into spoilers there, but we do have lore purposes that cover that.
We have too much time on our hands.
Hey, Peeper, you want to get into the alternate ending we had?
Oh god, the alternate ending. It's a gag ending. Don't take him seriously with it, but I'll let him.
Let's go.
I like a lot of the self-deprecating humor and self-aware stuff. And with the whole OC thing, right? I had this idea for the ED bit, which was gonna be like only for the Legacy channel. It was gonna be like Sonic would meet like with Tempest again, and since we were never planning on making another animated teaser, we would tend to like the next time like anything would be animated, it'd be like Tempest was pregnant with Sonic's child.
Oh,
what?
Like,
just as a giant gag.
We have.
However,
the file,
Celeste
right?
wasn't.
Wait.
I shot the idea down, obviously.
Sadly, but we still have old T's recording of his bit, because like the joke was gonna be like it wasn't even gonna be like the original VA of Sonic we have. It was gonna be like old TB doing the lines, and then like Celeste was gonna cut him off like, old T, what the hell are you doing? Like, gotta go, and like, yeah, it was gonna be like a really fun, quirky moment. Oh boy, character building for Sonic Legacy, but it didn't go through, sadly.
Yeah.
I feel you
we-
guys would have really liked that. I had like some really cool dynamic poses for pregnant Tempest in mind,
Oh God.
yeah, we,
storyboarded, but
yeah, I don't think teen pregnancy is really something that flies in a Sonic the Hedgehog story.
it's fiction. It's okay.
Might be a little
And that's the
I gotta
story
be
of how I shot down a shitpost.
But think about
So,
it. I mean, how did a dolphin grow legs? I mean, so it doesn't matter.
Chaos energy is a hell of a drug.
One thing I wanted to say from like an outsider's perspective, because I came in after a lot of work was already done, and I actually applied for Sonic Legacy without knowing anything about what it was about. So I went up to Evan, the one writer I told you I know, and I went, "What did I apply for? Because I have no idea what this is." And he tried explaining it to me, and at first, like you know the stereotypical OC stereotype, redundant
yeah.
sentences.
Yeah.
But you know how
Cold
they're
steel.
bad and that they're poorly designed and whatever. So I was like, oh God. They have an OC as a main character. This is not going to go well, but we'll just keep reading and see how it goes. So I gave it a chance, and I kept reading up on it, and I was like, okay, this is pretty well done and well thought out, and it's not forcing any of those bad OC tropes. So actually, if you're kind of new and getting into this and looking at it from an outsider's perspective, like I was, just if you give it a chance and you kind of get to know the characters, you'll really come to like them, because I think Tempest is a good foil for Sonic, and the personality was kind of crafted that way. So I think it's done well. Not to toot your guys' horn, but
Oh yeah, that is one thing that about Tempest. Not a single individual designed her, so we kind of label her as property of Sonic Paradox, because I think it was me, Sea Salt, Speedy Spikes, Daniela, Mimi Fox. Daniela's QDT Cat, I think she's in the chat here as well. All of us really contributed to her personality and design on there. So when we first agreed to Dolphin, I know that Sea Salt had a few different concepts, like how head fins and different things would go. And then QDT Cat posted in, there she is in the chat, she posted a couple of different styles for how the hair, we'll call it. It's kind of like how Inklings in Splatoon have their hairstyles and everything was. And we just immediately fell in love with the second design that she had. I'd say I was the one who came up with the outfit the most. Kind of more skin, tight-fitting swimwear, because if you're a swimmer, if you have loose clothing, you lose speed in the water. Sea Salt, I think, is the one who wanted to keep an hourglass emblem on the back to kind of represent what kind of dolphin she was. But her whole design was based off of, we want this to feel like an official Sonic character. We want her written like an official Sonic character. Like, you know how when IDW first came out, you had Tangle? That's kind of the feel we were trying to go for with Tempest.
Yeah.
honestly, I think Tempest is kind of better done.
Well,
And we've only had one issue with Tangle, so it's really hard to
I
judge
know,
as we
I
go.
know.
yeah.
But yeah, that's the story of how Tempest was made.
Okay, let's see.
That covered how they met, the whole wallet, the race, and like I said, I didn't want to spoil the second half of the issue.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
And-
Peeper! Anyway,
And it's- yeah,
I
we are
could do
halfway-
it theoretically, okay?
and I think since we don't want to spoil the second half, I think that leaves the next 25 minutes to answer questions and answer... Yeah, just do Q&A in the chat. So I'm going to re-enable slow mode on here. That way it doesn't get congested.
that's
Just
what
make sure you tag at Sonic Legacy so we can actually see the question and know how to answer it. And we'll probably take turns based off who knows the answer the best.
We didn't have anything on Twitter to go through first. or-
Nope, no Twitter, no Patreon comments, no emails. So we're going to go with what the YouTube chat has here.
Like, come on, people! You gotta work with us here.
What did I miss out on? I spaced out for a second.
We're just moving on to the Q&A section now for the remaining
Oh,
25
wow.
minutes.
45 likes already, LMAO.
Look what
Five more
you've done.
guys. Pregnant Tempest is gonna be
well, someone did say the first issue wins. So
Yeah,
that's
I'll
pretty
answer
big
the
one.
first issue win question. We're hoping to have
got
it
a lot
out
of haters in there.
by the end of August. We've already done a recording session for the dub, which means that we're going to work on arranging it and getting the original music set to it. And then after that, it's just a matter of finishing the colors and lettering. So we're aiming for the end of August.
We're 3 likes away from reaching the goal. Oh,
I'm going to slap you.
Will
Oh,
Sonic
favorite food?
Preggy
Tempest?
from the
Oh, there's
channel?
questions before that. I'm going to skip Alex McGee's because he's just working with his OC in that question.
Yeah, we can't do anything there.
Good Mudkip asked the first issue win that we answered. I don't know how to pronounce that one, so I'm just going to say Lily. How many pages do you plan to have per issue and volume? The goal is somewhere between 20 to 24. The first issue is going to be the longest with 25, and that was after we whittled it down, but we didn't have a proper formatting at the beginning.
Yeah, we're
20 to
going for,
24.
Standard comic issue length.
Favorite food, is that for a specific character, for us? I'm going to need some elaboration, so we'll get back to Aquamarine Dagger. Robert Lino asks, how are you all doing? I personally am doing fine.
I had the most terrible shit today, so...
That's nice.
Thank you for that.
Power of Costco.
Okay.
Power of Costco pizza.
Clark Armstrong asks, Sonic Legacy, will Sonic Paradox now be including Tempest in future shorts? That's probably something I would have to ask Wax about. Probably not until we at least have actual issues out to kind of establish her as a character. That really just depends on what he says, because he's the one who runs shorts.
Let's see. Fastmaster is asking, how far will this go?
A long
as far as
while.
We definitely have plans for the long term. Hopefully nothing happens to where we can't do it, but we definitely want to keep this going for as long as we can, partially because we really love Sonic the
It's
Hedgehog.
a hobby.
We love Sonic comics. It's a good way for everybody involved to get practice and maybe get scouted by official people in the business. So.
Cat on cough. Anyway, but yeah, we've got story ideas tying all the games together up to Forces, but that's not including the original stories we're going to do in between and not the side issues. So we've got a really good long haul. I mean, I've been with SP for 10 years. What's another 10?
We just got a really good question from Karen Uchiha 4525. Never heard of that man. How can I be an artist for Sonic Legacy? Good question, Katon. Celeste, would you like to elaborate on that one?
You need to work on your proportions on your auditions.
As cool as a true small.
Long boys that Katon's drawing. Sombra asked why Sonic's eyes are blue in the teaser. We did answer that in the earlier part of the video, so just be sure to rewatch it once it goes live. We'll get that question answered. It's just pretty much a lighting effect. They're still green.
It's color theory, yeah.
Aquamarine brought in Tempest, obviously, so that was Tempest's favorite food. There is a running joke that she likes cheese pizza because in the concept arts that Seasalt did, he drew a meme from X-Men of Professor X doing telepathy, Wolverine, bring me a cheese pizza, and he just redid it with Tempest. And it's just kind of been a running joke. Tempest is actually aspiring to be a chef in the Legacy comic. So she actually cooks a lot of different things. Fun fact, she actually despises fish.
Totally burn out on it because obviously living on a tropical environment, that's a lot of your bread and butter right there.
Good Mudkip asked, what role will Sally play in the comic? Without going heavy into spoilers, Sally is going to be in it. She'll pop in around the Sonic 2 arc, and she's more based in design based off of her dad, King Acorn. So she's got like a kind of a militaristic dress attire. She's going to play more of a political role than like a main character role like she was in Archie or Sat AM. She's a side character, but she exists within the universe.
Yeah, her concept art is out there.
Her concept art is on our wiki, Twitter, Facebook, so definitely scout around and you'll find it. The Freedom Fighters as characters exist, but not as freedom fighters.
Yeah,
Because there's
we're gonna
no
have a little fun.
takeover.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun with them. We love Saturn, we love Archie. We don't want to let these characters, just fade into the.
We grew up with them, man.
Oh yeah, I have a question for CrimDa. CrimDa, what's your creative process to voice Tempest? What do you do to prepare yourself to voice Tempest?
I try and yell a lot. That's pretty much it. I try and be as enthusiastic as possible. Try and think about a line and specifically maybe she's doing what I can make sound interesting about that line. So it's pretty much just basic warm-ups, and it's a little challenging because she doesn't have a pre-existing voice and she doesn't have a pre-existing anything. So I think we're all kind of trying to figure out how she's supposed to sound and her quirks and her tics when she talks. So it's not just me. I'm not the only one essentially bringing her to life through voice. I have a lot of feedback and people that I work with. So
if I remember right, the base for it for the pitch range and everything was Wave the Swallow from the first writers. As kind of a, hey, here's a starting point for the tone, and then just kind of build off of it. I think that's how it worked out.
I just remember, hey, maybe I should audition for this because I did a few voice roles in the past. Usually they're computer voices, which is very odd to say that I'm typecast like that. Now that I think about it. But I was like, well, what if I just applied for this one character? It's a minor character. There's probably not going to be much
minor.
So I'll just throw out this audition. I'll probably get a couple lines, and it'll be fine. And then
it's like if only you knew.
It was not a minor character. I was like, maybe I bit off more than I could chew, but I'm going to try my best to do this. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of trial and error to get her completely right to where we have a solid picture of her voice. So,
$20 for official Sonic Paradox brand, Tempest Dojin. I like this comment.
All right. Anyway, we should go back to the questions on here before Peeper gets more perverted over there. Super Toad Bros 3 World asks, Sonic Legacy, not sure if you answered this or not, but why is Sonic not in its classic form if the first arcs are based on the classic games? Consistency. We decided to make Sonic a little bit younger, so he's 14 years old during the classic era. Then there's a 1 year time, not a time jump, but just a gap where it's nothing but original stories, where he goes around the world before the adventure era when he's 15. So we're going to have a steady flow of time during the span of Legacy.
It's mostly aesthetics more than anything.
Yeah, so there's no classic Sonic, even when you hit Generations Mania or everything. We've got that figured out, but it's just the one Sonic.
Okay, so Aaron asked, why do you pay $10 to have your OC in the comic?
We're skipping a bunch of questions, right?
You're jumping the gun there.
Yeah, James Trius guess. Anyway, Sonic Legacy, is it more enjoyable to read a black and white comic like a manga or color comics? Really? That just depends per person. I don't mind either or.
Yeah, I read both regular American comics and manga. They each do their own thing. They have their perks. So, yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff out there. Don't limit yourself.
Yeah, as long as the expressions are good and the writing is good, who cares?
Yeah.
Read them all.
I agree. Malchi Kirasaki asked, will Emerald and Gimmerald be in the story? If they're in the games, they're confirmed.
Yeah.
Crystal Madhu says Sonic Legacy, P. Yes.
After the stream,
There we go. And now I had to catch up. Where the hell am I? It jumped really far. Okay, there we go. And then that was Catons. Andric the Fox Games. Is it going to be a real comic? What if someone actually made a game out of the comic? Well, I'd be honored if someone wanted to do like some kind of fan game based off of it. As for the definition of a real comic, we might do limited prints for giveaway contests, but we'll never actually sell these because Sonic's a licensed product. That's not legal.
We have another one from Gemistrius Gaston asking, "Are you going to have filler arcs?" No, that's we want everything to matter. We don't want to just make something just to pad out time.
Correct. The only I want to call it a filler arc, but the 1 year gap is basically Sonic exploring the rest of the world before the adventure era kicks in, which gives the other characters time to set up. Like, I mean, how did Tails just all of a sudden have a workshop and stuff outside of Station Square? So, like, with the time difference on that really helps flesh out other characters, but there won't be meaningless filler.
Yeah,
also considering the fact that the comic will be like releasing at certain at a certain pace, I don't think we have like the time to be able to make a filler arc, you know?
No. I mean, the more artists we bring on board, the faster we release issues.
Yeah.
J Kingdom asks, here's a question for fun. If Tempest had a Wispin, which one would she have? Huh. I've never really given that thought, to be quite honest with you.
I mean, she might have fun with the drill wisp. You know, just
over.
I don't know. We'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah. Let's see.
And we've answered those questions. Clark Armstrong, will there be any pop culture references in the comic? Probably not. I am trying to avoid fourth wall humor in this. There might be other Sega IP references in like the background and stuff, but that'd be it. Here we go. Brandon asks, will Chow be in the series? Once again, if they are in the games, they are in the comic. You kind of can't have cream without cheese.
Yeah. Plus, who doesn't love Chow?
Michael Sosa asked, will we see Hypersonic at any point in the comic? I'm glad that question came up. We won't have Hypersonic at any point.
Come on, man.
But shut up and let me finish. We will have a perfected supersonic state that we won't go into for spoilers, but it only will happen during the Sonic and Knuckles arc.
Yeah, it's like so.
But I can't talk more on that because that will be major spoilers for like a lot of other stuff.
Some big epic moment.
We were asked, will Sonic Battle be adapted? Yes, it will, because it will be necessary for us to adapt Chronicles better.
Yeah.
Let's keep going here. It wasn't tagged at us, but why do you pay $10 to have your OC in the comic? We needed Patreon tiers.
Yeah.
And that's just as like a background character, so it's not like they're going to have a story significance. It's just, hey, thanks for supporting us. We'll throw in your character in the background in populated areas.
Oh, we also were getting asked that quite a bit, wasn't it? So we were like, well, why don't we just have a Patreon tier for it?
Yeah, we were getting asked about having their characters in there, so we just kind of figured, we'll cheat the system a little. Scrolling. Super Tempest, unconfirmed, have not given that any thought yet. There's some other things about the other characters that, once again, can't go into spoilers on there, so you'll have to read the issues. But as for a super state, nah, we have not thought about that yet. Which Sonic TV show is Sonic Legacy closest to in tone? Honestly, none of them.
Yeah, it's a real mix.
Like, it's more based off of the games than anything, with its own original lore in the background. It takes from every Sonic continuity, but it is not based off of any continuity.
Yeah. Like,
will there be... Oh, sorry.
No, so I can't really pin any one particular cartoon down as a...
No, neither can I. Here we go. We were asked, will there be a naming scheme for every issue? Yes, there will. Like, issue 1 is named On Land or By Sea, and the arc is just called Legacy's Prelude, because it kind of sets the stage for everything. Here we go. Hard name to say, so I'm just going to say, will you be involving Sonic 06? Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun with 06, because we've made some changes into it to make it more interesting. It'll be a while before you see it, but it'll be interesting.
Someone's asking about Sonic 4, which actually there is some elements that we've taken into consideration. So
While Sonic 4 itself will not be in the Legacy story, some elements will be. Can Mike Chow be in the series? That depends on if you want to be a patron. Here we go. Another question. Is this going to have more than Metal Sonic like Mecha and Silver? You betcha. Here we go. Jade Kingdom. If you're adapting Chronicles, have you given thought about what to do about the cliffhanger the game had? We sure have. Once again, cannot go into spoilers.
yeah, that's a ways off still.
But we've got a lot of ideas for the echidnas and everything like there. More than likely, Penders is going to get pissed, but that's his problem because he lost those lawsuits. There we go. Will Silver be changed a little? Probably not much.
Yeah, he has his own deal.
Everyone's changed to fit like the lore of Legacy, but they're still the same characters.
Yeah.
Here we go. Will Mania be before Adventure? No, Mania is actually going to be right outside the time frame of Forces. Can't go into spoilers on there, but they'll make sense when you get to it. Mudkip asks, so by the logic that if the character has appeared in the games, they could appear in the comic, any character that has appeared in a game with Sonic can appear in the comic. As long as it's an official Sonic game, crossover games will not count. So no Mario or anything like that.
No, yeah, we can't take every fan game and all that.
No. We were asked, well, we've already answered that question about it being a real comic in the game. We've already answered that. How much time do we have for the Q&A? We've got 9 minutes left. We are asked...
Get those questions in, guys. Keep them hot and coming, because we'll be done soon.
Do you like Silver? I don't mind Silver as a character.
He's actually my favorite character.
Pretty cool.
Excuse me, fighting hiccups over here. Will Hyper Superforms be involved? Well, we did answer that. Hypersonic will not, but Superforms definitely will, but they're not going to be abused. Like, you will not see Superforms very often. Will Snively be in the comic? If he is, he will be a very drastically different character, but as of right now, there are no plans. We're trying not to take too much from any one continuity, and I feel like we've already taken enough from Sat AM and Archie. So I'm very hesitant about taking anything else. Sonic Legacy, will Shadow be in the series? Once again, if it's a game character in a game, it's confirmed. Fastmaster asks, will Walking on Walls be included? I think we're making fun of Sonic 4 physics, so probably not. Jay Keenum asks, will the spin-offs be included in the game, such as like Sonic the Fighters or Sonic Drift? Oh man, the Fighters arc is going to be so much fun. I think Crim's looking forward to that as much as I am. We're not gonna go into spoilers on why we like it so much, but Fighters will be the last classic entry game for Sonic himself before it goes into the 1 year gap. Knuckles Chaotix will take place after that in what we call Mobius Legacy, which is kind of like the Sonic universe of Archie. It'll be the side stories or things outside of Sonic's point of view. Will there be several forms of Robotnik Eggman? No, it's just going to be Eggman.
Yeah,
There'll be a past. There'll be a past version of him, like 11 years ago, to explain his backstory, but it's just the same character. We're not doing what Penders did with Eggman.
Yeah, no Robotnik here.
It scrolled way too far. Hang on a second. Will Tempest have a super form? We've already answered that. It's undecided. How will this comic be done? Will it simply be a comic you'll have to pay for, or will it also include the anime alongside it? Well, there's not gonna be an anime, and it's going to be a digital comic, so you're not paying for it. If you choose to pledge to the Patreon, you're supporting the artist, but you're not paying for a comic or anything. It goes straight to the artists who took their time to work on each issue. When our YouTube gets monetized, which YouTube has taken its sweet time about it, we met all their metrics, we're going to use the ad revenue it makes to try and print limited physical copies and do giveaway contests. But you have to be a patron to qualify, so even if you're just pledging like $1 per issue, you qualify.
The hooligans being will the hooligans be in it? Yeah,
Were they in the games?
Yep.
That's how I'm going to answer those questions at that point.
And this is from Carol138. Will you implement things from the storybook games? If so, will you do the super force? I got plans for that.
We've got some storybook plans that are going to take a direction you're not expecting, but they're going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to writing those. Those will be stuff.
Will there be off panels or something along the lines that could allow fans who can't quite do the whole issues but want to help participate? Yes. There will definitely be off panels. If you want to participate on them, we still have at least a minimum quality guideline, but something that doesn't have to be as detailed as the issues itself. That's one of those things you might want to hop on the Discord for more info. If someone pays more than enough, can there be like an OC that's in a scene to help the main characters of the comic? We have different patron tier rewards that give you like bonus content, like variant covers, like not animated, but like comic form bloopers, concept art. We'll figure out higher tier rewards, but not anything that affects background OCs. Because we don't want anything that interferes with the story, because the story's for the most part already figured out.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to suddenly try to switch things around.
Jordy asks, how planned ahead are you guys with the story? Excluding original stories, all the way up to Forces.
Yeah.
How long would that cover approximately, you think?
Excluding original and depending on how long the arcs go, if we were going by Sonic 1, at least 100 issues.
Jeez!
Oh no, we're in it for the long haul, and that's why we bring on different artists, because we just swap out and shuffle artists, so everyone's able to take breaks, get involved. So it's not like a sweatshop factory over here or anything.
Yeah,
Wait, guys,
I've been on for a while, and I've only done one issue, so...
A blowhole?
It's been a nice pace.
There's no physical design of a blowhole on Tempest. If anything, it's probably just tucked under her hair. There we go. What about the characters in Sonic Shuffle? That is the one game that we probably might not adapt because it's just a spin-off game.
Yeah,
might have like
weird.
A hint of it somewhere, but like as an actual adaptation, probably not.
Yeah, it's a really weird entry.
Will Sonic and Tempest have a big fight against each other at any stage? We'll answer that at a later time.
Yeah, that'll be
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It over-scrolled. Hang on a second.
The next one is...
Is Sonic's mom a MILF? Oh, wait, that was asked by DBZ Hedgehog. I know what art you've drawn. I'm not answering that. You already know the answer.
I'll just say the Hedgehog line is that they are very popular.
Will Parkour and the Deadly Six be in Legacy? Yes. If they were in the games, they are in the comic. Will there be a new original antagonist? There will be old and new. So keep your eyes peeled. Will Double Boost be in it? I hated Double Boost, so we'll probably figure something out when we get there.
Yeah.
Will Cosmo appear in the comic? No current plans yet. Adapting X is very complicated. I personally think that Elise should have been a Mobius. Okay, that wasn't a question. Will Nazo appear? No. Will Sega Sonic the Hedgehog take place in the comic? Might have some ideas, but the actual game? No. Will the whole Sonic Sat AM crew in this, Sally and Nicole? The main Freedom Fighter cast? Yes, but they will not be Freedom Fighters, and Nicole will be a very different character, but I think you'll like the direction we've got for her.
Yeah, both her and Sally have art out there already.
Correct, and I will say at least one thing, Sally and Nicole have no relation with each other in Legacy. Will you add your own custom transformations with your own custom types of emeralds like the Soul Emeralds? Probably not. We haven't given that thought yet.
Yeah.
Will Tempest have a fighting move that involves her blowhole? I feel like that leads into some questionable answers, so I'm going to skip that. Will Sonic Boom be in there? It's in the air. We've got some ideas on how to tie it into our lore, but it's nothing confirmed. But there will be characters from Boom in our universe.
Yeah.
Last question. Will there be any new OCs introduced as the story progresses? Yes. And all of these OCs have the exact same amount of thought put into them as Tempest did.
Or even more.
Or even more. Oh yeah, there's one character. We won't announce the character, but it took 3 years of yelling. Not 3 years, 3 days of just steady yelling and arguing with each other about the design.
It felt like 3 years.
It felt like it.
I don't think it's done.
Just going to quickly answer a couple of questions, no more new ones. How big of a role will humans have in a comic? They won't be a primary focus, but they are definitely involved.
Yeah, we're not doing the two world stuff here.
No,
it's just gonna be
no
world,
Izuka 2 worlds.
One wacky world where humans and anthros live together with loop-de-loops and floating islands.
I'm not answering Lena's cup size. If Tails has a super form, will we have his flicky army of death? Undecided. Super Agate? Undecided. No. Can't go into spoilers for Omelette yet. How will you keep the art style consistent due to many different artists? Reference and model sheets.
Yeah.
Artists are allowed to have a little bit different style as long as it is proportionate and consistent.
Yeah. Not to mention, we do try to get at least for the most part 2 artists per issue because 20 something pages, that's a lot to put on one person.
Yeah, we try to do 2 artists per issue that mesh well together.
Yeah,
Some artists want to solo it, like Digi wanted a solo issue 4, so.
Like me and CrimDa, our styles are kind of similar, so it's not too wild of a jump once her pages end and mine begin. So.
Correct.
Yeah, that was one of the concerns I had about first joining, because a page, it could take anywhere from like 6 hours to 8 hours for me personally just to lay it out and do it, and I didn't spend 24 times 8 working on a comic that I didn't really know anything about. And that's kind of a big commitment. So it's nice that they kind of chopped it up between 2 artists and let me kind of do my own thing.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna cut those questions on here. We met our hour goal for the podcast, so like I said, these are going to be twice a month podcasts. The schedule may flip-flop, depends on work schedule and availability, but keep an eye on our social media pages in the description there. We'll definitely announce things as we go. If you had questions that were not answered, definitely save them for the next podcast, as we will get to them there. Just wanted to thank everyone from English. Cannot speak it. Thank you, everyone, for coming in here. Any last words from the rest of the staff here?
Can't really say. Just we're trying to get the first issue out. It's taken longer than we expected, but it's coming.
We may be meme lords, but we're still drawing. At least our meme lords finished their work.
Guys, look forward to Prey Tempest. We reached the goal of 50 likes.
Oh my gosh.
You better put it on your personal Twitter. I'm not putting it on the Legacy one.
I'm putting it in the Legacy channel. That was the goal.
No. Oh my god. Any closing words from anyone?
So do you want the Prey Tempest on the Legacy channel or the Paradox channel? You tell us.
Support us on Patreon. It gets split up between all the artists.
Yeah.
Alright. Good night, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Goodbye.